Eat it off the ground, my brother's son said, flicking frosting from his fingers like I was the mess to be cleaned. Laughter crackled around the table, quick, safe little laughs that said, "Don't make this bigger than it is." My brother smirked. My mother stared at the tiled floor as if it were offering her a way out. The cake slid, face down, a soft thud that felt louder than it sounded. I heard the fork settle, the clock tick, a hush pull tight like thread through a needle. I inhaled the sugar and humiliation, too sweet, too heavy, while someone muttered, "Kids, you know," and someone else added, "She won't mind." Everyone, my name is Selah Quinn, I'm 28. I've learned that quiet is a blade. It looks harmless until it reflects what people don't want to see. So I said nothing. I held my spine like a single, unbroken note. The room tested me, glances, shrugs, little jokes skittering across the surface, waiting for me to become the problem they could point to. I knelt, not to obey, but to gather what was mine: scattered strawberries, a paper flower smudged with chocolate, the shards of a moment I bought, planned, and iced in the shape of hope. The tile was cold through the thin fabric of my dress. I listened to my heartbeat and the tiny scrape of a plastic cake knife against the plate. The knife sounded like a pencil dragging a line through an old promise. "Don't make a scene," my mother whispered, as if the scene hadn't already been made for me. "I'm not," I said, and it came out level. A single candle kept burning, ridiculous and brave, while the rest lay out like fallen soldiers. My brother clapped his son's shoulder. "Boys will be boys," and the boy grinned with the same mouth that had called me less. I stood, wiped my hands, and set the candle upright on the counter. The flame steadied. In that small, stubborn light, I counted what I had given these people: rides, deposits, signatures, my good name on lines where there's wobbled. It's funny how love becomes collateral when you sign it too many times. Evening poured in later, violet at the edges. My phone chimed. "Mom, we've chosen to sever all contact. Stay away forever." A second ping. My brother liked it. I read the words twice, then 3 times, and the quiet blade flashed again. My thumbs moved. "I'll be removing my name from every loan tomorrow." By midnight, the group chat began to howl, call after call lighting the dark like sirens, while the last crumb of cake dried on the tile, hard as truth. The calls kept coming. The group chat lit my phone like an ambulance in the dark, one name after another, the same people who'd laughed while I picked cake off the floor. Their guilt had good timing. I sat on the couch, cross-legged, robe wrapped around me, laptop open to the spreadsheet that had their debts neatly lined in black and white. My brother's mortgage top-up. My mother's emergency fund. Even my father's car refinance, all carrying my signature. Each one a favor they'd treated like a duty I owed. The last message blinked in from my brother. "Selah, don't be dramatic. Let's talk tomorrow." I typed, "Sure," with my lawyer. Then shut the laptop. The apartment was quiet except for the hum of the fridge and the faint drip of the tap. My reflection in the dark window looked foreign, calm, but colder than I'd ever seen myself. Betrayal doesn't always scream, sometimes it whispers until you hear nothing else. By morning, I had already emailed the bank. A woman named Trudy confirmed the removals. "Once your signatures are revoked, their accounts will be reassessed for solvency." Translation: they'll finally stand alone. My phone buzzed again. "Mom, you're ruining the family." I stared at it, remembering her voice from last night, the same woman who'd told me to stay quiet while a child humiliated me. I texted back one line: "Families don't ask you to eat off the ground." Hours passed. My brother showed up at my door, unshaven, shaking. "You can't just pull your name off loans, Selah. Do you know what happens if we default?" I met his eyes. "I do. You learn." He started pacing, words tumbling, excuses, half apologies, sudden affection. "You're overreacting, come on. Mom didn't mean." "I'm not punishing you," I said softly. "I'm just done protecting people who never protected me." Outside, rain began to fall, slow, deliberate, cleansing. He looked small against the doorway. "Selah, please," he whispered, but I'd already closed the laptop again, the sound final, like a door locking. Some debts cost more than money. And I was done paying. By noon, word had spread through the family faster than the rain outside could fall. My aunt called pretending to check in. My cousin texted, "You can't just abandon blood like that." Funny how blood only mattered when money was involved. I brewed coffee slowly, watching the steam swirl like ghosts I'd finally stopped believing in. The smell filled my apartment, rich and quiet, a small rebellion against years of being talked over. I wasn't angry anymore. Anger was too expensive. I was awake. Then, a knock. Not tentative. Not polite. Heavy. Familiar. I opened the door to find my mother, soaked from the rain, her lipstick smudged, eyes sharp as ever. "What are you doing to your family, Sila?" she hissed, stepping inside without invitation. "Your brother's credit is frozen. The bank called me." "I told you last night I'd be removing my name," I said calmly. "You told me to stay away forever. I'm just honoring that." She blinked, stunned, like she'd forgotten her own message. "You don't mean that." "We didn't mean it." I tilted my head. "But you liked it." Silence. The sound of her wet shoes squeaking against the floor filled the space. For the first time, I saw it, the fear behind her anger. Not for me, but for what my absence cost her. "You can't do this," she whispered, almost trembling. "We'll lose the house." I wanted to say something kind, but the words dried on my tongue. Years of being the responsible one, the calm one, the one who'll understand had emptied that well. "Maybe you should have thought of that before laughing when your grandson threw my cake on the floor," I said softly. Her face cracked then, not a breakdown, but something real. "You're cruel." "No," I murmured, voice steady, "I'm finished." She turned toward the door, but before leaving, she looked back. "You'll regret this." When the door closed, I sank into the quiet again. The rain tapped the windows like it was clapping for me. I sipped my coffee and stared at my reflection, the woman they made small, now finally standing her full height in silence. The next morning arrived with that eerie stillness that follows a storm, a silence that feels heavier than noise. My inbox overflowed with messages, threats, guilt trips, sudden bursts of affection. Every one of them began with "Sila, please," and ended with "You're tearing the family apart." I deleted them all. When I finally stepped outside, the city looked washed clean. The air smelled of metal and wet pavement. I walked to the bank with my umbrella tilted just enough to hide my face, not from the rain, but from memories. Inside, the marble floor reflected the fluorescent lights like a pool of shallow truth. I met Trudy again at her desk. She smiled gently. "You sure you want to proceed? Once the documents are finalized, you'll have no legal tie to their accounts." "That's the point," I said. As I signed the last paper, a tiny tremor ran through me, not regret, but release. My pen moved in slow, deliberate strokes. With every curve of my signature, I could feel years of emotional debt dissolving. Trudy slid the folder away and whispered, "Must have taken courage." I nodded. No. It took exhaustion. When I walked out, sunlight broke through the clouds, catching in a puddle at my feet. For the first time, I didn't rush home. I wandered. The city hummed with life, strangers buying flowers, kids tugging their parents' hands, a street violinist playing something that hurt and healed at the same time. My phone buzzed again. It was my brother. A voice message this time. I hesitated, then pressed play. "Sila, you've proved your point, okay? We're sorry. But Mom's freaking out. Her name's on some of the same papers. If the bank audits us, we could lose." The message cut off, replaced by another. "You think this makes you better than us? You're destroying everything Dad built." I stood on the corner, letting the words mix with the sound of the violin. Then I deleted both messages. For once, I didn't need them to understand. I just needed peace. And peace, I realized, had my signature on it now. 2 days later, the silence finally broke, not with words, but with paperwork. A thick envelope slid under my door that morning. My name was written in my mother's careful handwriting, the same hand that used to sign my permission slips, my birthday cards, my college checks. My stomach tightened as I tore it open. Inside were copies of old loan documents, every one of them marked co-signer, Sila Quinn. A note rested on top, her handwriting trembling this time. "If you undo this, we'll lose everything. You're my daughter. You're supposed to help family, not ruin it." The paper smelled faintly of her perfume, the expensive one she said she'd bought on sale. I stared at the ink bleeding where her tears had fallen, or maybe the rain had caught it. Either way, It blurred the word family until it looked like finally. My chest ached, but I didn't cry. I'd already done my grieving years ago, quietly, while driving them to appointments, paying their overdue bills, covering for their lies. That afternoon, I drove to the old family house, the one they'd renovated with the loan under my name. The paint peeled now, the yard half wild. My brother's car sat out front, the same one I'd helped refinance. The irony wasn't lost on me. He came out when he saw my car. "You came to fix this?" he asked, half hopeful. "No," I said, holding the envelope. "I came to return it." I handed him the papers. He didn't take them. His jaw tightened. "You're heartless." "I was your safety net," I said softly. "Now I'm giving you back your gravity." For a second, he looked like the kid he once was, the boy who used to borrow my pencils and forget to return them. Then he laughed bitterly. "You'll regret this when we're gone." "Maybe," I said, turning to leave. "But at least I'll know I didn't disappear with you." As I drove away, the rearview mirror caught a final glimpse of him standing there, surrounded by everything he thought he owned, finally realizing none of it was really his. That night, sleep refused to come. The city lights painted slow-moving ghosts across my ceiling, and the hum of traffic felt like thoughts I couldn't turn off. I kept replaying the sound of my mother's voice, not from that day, but from years ago. "You're the strong one, Selah. You'll understand." That was her favorite line, her permission slip for neglect. Every time she said it, she meant, "You'll handle the pain for us." I rolled onto my side and reached for my phone. The family group chat still blinked unread. The last message was from my cousin, "You're breaking Mom's heart." Funny. They'd cracked mine in silence for years. Around midnight, I opened my notes app and began typing, not to argue, not to defend, but to document. Every payment I'd made, every date, every signature. A quiet record of invisible labor. If they ever tried to twist the story, I wanted the truth to speak without my voice. At 2 a.m., a voicemail notification appeared. From my mother. Her tone was fragile, almost childlike. "Selah, please, just call me. We can fix this." I didn't mean what I said that night. I was embarrassed. "You know how your brother is. Please, honey." For a moment, I almost called back. Then I remembered the way she'd looked away when her grandson humiliated me, the silence she chose instead of me. The next morning, I met Trudy again at the bank. She slid a final document across the desk, the release confirmation. "You're officially cleared," she said. "All your ties to those accounts are legally dissolved." I traced my name printed on the paper, detached, precise, free. "Would you like a copy for your records?" she asked. "Yes," I said, then added quietly, "for closure." Outside, sunlight hit my face, warm and sharp. For years, I had mistaken endurance for loyalty. But loyalty without respect is just servitude dressed in love. As I walked away, my phone buzzed again, another call from Mom. I didn't answer. Instead, I whispered to myself, "Some silence isn't revenge. It's recovery." And for the first time, I believed it. By Friday, my world had gone quiet, a kind of stillness I hadn't felt in years. No pings, no family group chat explosions, no late-night guilt texts. Just peace, the kind that felt suspicious at first, like the calm before another storm. Then came the letter. Official this time. Not from family, from the bank's recovery department. It stated that all accounts previously linked to me were under review. My brother had missed 2 payments. My mother's savings had been frozen pending verification. Their lifelines were unraveling, and for once, I wasn't their emergency contact. I placed the letter on my coffee table, beside the framed photo of us, the one from a long-ago Christmas where I was the only one doing the dishes while everyone else opened gifts. The corners of the photo had curled, like even the memory wanted to escape. Later that evening, I got another message, not from my mother this time, but from her neighbor, Mrs. Dunlap. "Your mom isn't doing well, sweetheart. She looks pale. Maybe talk to her." My chest tightened. Guilt crept in like smoke, familiar and choking. I stood at my window for a long minute, watching the city pulse with distant lights. Then I texted back, "Thank you for checking on her. Please make sure she eats." That was all. Around midnight, I received one final message from my brother. "You've made your point. I hope you're happy." I stared at it for a long time before replying. No. I'm not happy. I'm free. There's a difference. The typing dots blinked for a while, then vanished. I set my phone face down and exhaled. For the first time, the air in my apartment didn't feel borrowed. It felt owned. As the night deepened, thunder rolled in the distance. A new storm, maybe. But this time, I didn't brace myself. Because I'd finally learned, peace isn't something you're given. It's something you take back, signature by signature, silence by silence. Morning light poured in pale and gentle, like it was asking permission to stay. My apartment felt different, lighter somehow, as if all the invisible weight had finally left with them. I sat by the window with my coffee, watching rain dry on the glass, thinking about how endings rarely announce themselves. They just settle quietly, like this. A soft knock echoed against the door. For a moment, I froze. Then, slowly, I opened it. Mom stood there. No makeup, no jewelry, just trembling hands clutching a small box. Her eyes searched my face the way people search for old roads they once paved over. I didn't come to argue, she said. I just wanted to give you this. Inside the box was my old anniversary pendant, the one I thought had been lost during a move years ago. It had a small inscription on the back, to Sila, for holding us together. She sighed. I found it while packing some things. I realized, you were always the one holding us. And when you stopped, we fell apart. I swallowed hard, the pendant heavy in my hand. You didn't fall apart because I stopped helping, Mom. You fell apart because you never learned how to stand. Her eyes glistened. Maybe we deserve that. I shook my head. It's not about deserving. It's about learning. You taught me loyalty. I just had to teach myself boundaries. We stood there, silence between us, not sharp, not cruel, just real. Then she nodded once, a slow surrender, and whispered, I'm sorry. I didn't answer right away. Words felt too small for what had broken and what had healed. Instead, I reached out, placed my hand over hers, and said softly, take care of yourself. When she left, the air didn't ache anymore. It breathed. I set the pendant on the windowsill, where sunlight caught its curve, and smiled. It wasn't forgiveness or revenge. It was understanding, the kind that frees both sides quietly. And as the city hummed below, I whispered the only word that felt right.